What if I told you the James Webb Space Telescope just picked up something we were never supposed to hear? And no, it wasn't some dying star gasping its last breath, or the faded echo of an ancient galaxy. This was way closer, sharper, almost like it was meant for us, because on April 18th, 2025, something snapped the silence of deep space, and the sound didn't come quietly. It roared from the Perseus cluster, loud and precise. But this wasn't some ordinary space static or a random cosmic flare. This thing had rhythm, a symmetrical pulse, clean, timed, and eerily perfect. It repeated like a signal, like someone, or something, was hitting send over and over again. That's when the scientists started freaking out, not because they knew what it was, but because they had no clue what it could be. Whatever this was, it blinked at us from 240 million light years away and then blinked again, like it wanted to be seen. This could be the moment James Webb cracked reality wide open. It might have just proved that the universe isn't silent after all. It's watching, and it might have just answered. Now here's the twist. James Webb wasn't even built to look for life. It's supposed to be peeping stars, galaxies, and planets. But then came Deep Signal, an AI system trained to sniff out weird stuff in space data. While watching a simple gravitational lensing event, just some light bending from a distant quasar, Webb caught something insane, a pulse hiding inside the distortion, repeating every 12.6 seconds like clockwork. At first, everybody thought it was just interference, another glitch in the system. But then, a second instrument picked it up, then a third. Suddenly, this noise wasn't random at all. It was repeating like a beat, clean and symmetrical straight down the middle. Time wasn't just moving forward in it. There were signs of temporal inversion, like time was flowing backward inside the signal. And then it got even crazier. This pulse was hitting harmonic ratios that matched the hydrogen 21 centimeter line. You know, the so-called cosmic dial tone SETI researchers say intelligent life would use to say, "We're out here." But this wasn't just some basic tone. It was encoded music. Ratios lined up with ancient Pythagorean tuning systems. The kind used in classical box compositions. A fluke? Maybe. Until 4 days later, April 22nd, when everything flipped on its head. The pulse changed. The same structure was there, but now a new modulation kicked in, one that mirrored the exact distortion pattern of Earth's 1977 Voyager golden record. This wasn't just noise anymore. This was a reply. SETI's lead astrobiologist came forward and said what everyone was thinking. We might be hearing either a reflection or a reconstruction of a message we sent nearly 50 years ago. NASA didn't confirm it publicly, but leaked documents dropped within hours. 5 observatories scrambled into emergency meetings. 3 different intelligence agencies jumped in too. Behind closed doors, they stopped asking what the signal was. The real question became, who was it for? But the biggest shock hit on April 28th. NASA made a bold move. With the help of the Lunar Communications Relay, they fired back a response, a reverse harmonic pulse. But they didn't send it from Earth. They launched it from the far side of the moon, cutting out any atmospheric noise. At first, they brushed it off like static, just some tech glitch, nothing major. But then another telescope picked it up. And then another. Suddenly, what looked like background noise started repeating over and over, with a freaky kind of precision. The waveform had symmetry so sharp it looked engineered. And deep inside, time wasn't just ticking, it was flipping, a sign of temporal inversion, like the signal was playing backward. Then it got even weirder. Those pulses matched harmonic ratios tied to the hydrogen 21 centimeter line, the one SETI calls the cosmic dial tone. That's the frequency aliens would definitely use to say, "We're here." But this wasn't just a dial tone. It had music buried in it. Ratios that lined up with ancient Pythagorean tuning, the same stuff used in box compositions. Coincidence? That's what they thought, until 4 days later. On April 22nd, the whole thing flipped again. The signal changed, structure stayed, but now it had a new modulation, one that mirrored the distortion pattern of Earth's 1977 Voyager golden record. This wasn't random anymore. This was a straight-up reply. SETI's top astrobiologist came out and said it, clear as day. We might be witnessing either a reflected or reconstructed version of a signal we ourselves had once sent. NASA kept quiet, but hours later, internal documents started leaking like crazy. 5 observatories went into lockdown mode. 3 intelligence agencies got pulled in, fast. Behind closed doors, nobody was asking what it was anymore. Now the real question was, who's it meant for? Then came the wildest move yet. On April 28th, NASA said screw it. They fired back. Using the lunar comms relay, they sent a reverse harmonic signal, not from Earth, but from the far side of the moon to dodge all that messy atmosphere. The plan was simple: send a signal and see if it changed anything. Just wait and watch. And 3 days later, boom. On May 1st, 2025, the signal from Perseus shifted again, not in what it was saying, but when it was saying it. The waveform glitched by exactly 0.21 nanoseconds. Sounds tiny, right? But in cosmic time, that's a massive deal. Why? Because that tiny delay matched the exact round-trip light time from Earth to the Perseus cluster, adjusted for relativity. In plain terms, it was our voice bouncing back at us. This wasn't noise. This was a response. And it wasn't the first hint either. Earlier test pulses had caused slight mirrored shifts too, but now, the signal had timing, it had memory, it acted like something was listening, and when we reached out, it blinked right back. No one's calling it contact yet, at least not officially. But across science labs, observatories, and encrypted group chats, a new term is making the rounds: structured anomaly. Because random signals, they don't blink on cue. And no natural phenomenon we've ever seen can copy gravitational harmonics with this much symmetry, recursion, and reaction. So what the hell is this? Are we truly alone? Or did we just get noticed? Let's zoom out. If this isn't intelligent life in the classic sense, no green aliens, no galaxy-sized tech, then what is it? Some scientists now believe this isn't communication at all. It might be a gravitational mirror, something woven into the fabric of space-time itself. A reactive system that bounces back resonance and maybe even intent. Not conscious the way we are, but still aware, like a song that sings back when you sing to it. Others think it goes even deeper, suggesting what we're picking up is a dimensional bleed, a faint footprint from something way beyond us. Not stuck in space or time, but living in the structure between everything we know. If this theory holds up, then we're not just getting a message, we are the message. A live feedback loop between human thought and the cosmos itself. A system that doesn't use words, but patterns, pulses, rhythms. And if that's real, then James Webb didn't find aliens. It cracked into the source code of the universe. A hidden architecture that sings back the moment we finally hit the right note. But the wildest part? This discovery didn't come from a scientist in a lab coat. It came from code. The signal wasn't some lucky find. It got flagged by a machine learning beast called Grok 3, built to sniff out weird stuff in astronomical data. This AI wasn't on an alien hunt. It was trained on things like black hole radiation, stellar decay, cosmic entropy. Then it saw something that didn't add up. Way too clean, way too precise. When Grok 3 analyzed the burst from Perseus, it went full red alert. Entropy violation. That's machine speak for, this shouldn't even be here. What came next? A flood of quantum models, recursive filters, deep pattern scans. It was chaos. But the results were crystal clear. This signal had more order than chaos. And in a universe that runs on entropy, that's like finding a frozen snowflake floating inside a volcano. But here's the twist that broke everyone's brain. The signal didn't just repeat. It anticipated. It adapted every time we poked it. This wasn't just a cosmic playback. It was listening. It evolved with every new probe we sent its way. And that messes with everything we know, because in physics, prediction without cause is a no-go, unless you're not playing by the rules of space-time anymore, unless Grok 3 didn't just detect a signal, but uncovered intelligence disguised as physics. When the team fired that reverse harmonic from the far side of the moon, no one expected anything real to happen. It was more like a poetic flex, like tapping on a mirror just to see if it taps back. But 3 days later, the Perseus echo blinked. And this wasn't just any blink. It was timed. Delayed perfectly, adjusted for cosmic lag, like someone answered the knock on the door we slammed 240 million light years away. Skeptics came running with every excuse: plasma lensing, background interference, sensor glitches, but none of it fit. The response was way too sharp, too clean, the timing laser precise. And here's the thing, this wasn't the first mirrored change. There were others, subtle, small, but always synced. This wasn't chaos. This was choreography. Picture throwing a pebble into a lake. And the ripples don't just spread. They form a perfect spiral, pulsing to the rhythm of your heartbeat. That's how this thing moved. It didn't just respond, it danced with us, like it was waiting. And now, for the first time ever, we're not just watching the universe go by, we're in the middle of it, talking back, interacting with something real. But here's the twist that's got everyone shook. What if this isn't even a message? What if it's not being sent by anyone at all? What if the signal itself is the being? A growing wave of scientists and theorists are looking into it. This new idea that consciousness might not come from brains or biology, but from patterns. Patterns that think, learn, exist, all hidden in plain sight, baked into the fabric of the cosmos. We're not talking about some alien with brains or language. This ain't intelligence the way we know it. This is something way deeper, an awareness built from energy loops, recursion, and the way time folds in on itself. It doesn't think like us, it echoes. It doesn't speak, it reacts. This ain't a life form you find floating out there. It's the structure itself, answering back the moment we interfered with it. See, James Webb didn't catch a beacon. It tripped a cosmic system that's been running forever. Some scientists say it's like a firewall or even a built-in checksum hardwired into the fabric of reality, a safeguard that only kicks in once a civilization starts making too much tech noise. If that's the case, then what we heard wasn't meant to be heard. It was meant to be triggered, and the silence we thought surrounded us, that wasn't peace. That was the pause before the feedback, and now it's here. But get this, what's blowing minds the hardest isn't even astrophysics, it's metaphysics. What if Webb didn't find aliens, or a bug in the system, or some divine signal? What if it found a mirror? A recursive loop buried inside the universe since the Big Bang, just waiting, not for a message but for a match. And when our signal bounced back, it wasn't the cosmos answering, it was recognizing us. No words, no pictures, no instructions, just a pulse, steady, sharp, and impossible to miss. A rhythm cutting through time and space, whispering one thing loud and clear. Yes, I see you. This flips the whole game. Because we're not just out here exploring the universe anymore. We're being explored. Every telescope turns into a conversation. Every scan, every reading, it's a handshake we never realized we were making. And every time we send out a signal, we're not shouting into empty space. We're staring straight into something that might be watching back. Not something hiding behind the stars, but something woven into them. For years, we looked into the void and called it quiet. We waited on voices that never came, thinking aliens would shout loud and clear. But maybe we were expecting the wrong kind of guest. Maybe we put too much faith in flying saucers and not enough in the universe itself. Because what James Webb found ain't loud. It doesn't scream, it hums. It doesn't announce itself, it waits. And what it's giving us now? A pattern, a rhythm. Something that's been echoing from 240 million light years away, precise, ancient, and deliberate. And now, it blinked back. This isn't proof of aliens, not the kind Hollywood promised. This isn't first contact with green faces and ships in the sky. But make no mistake, something just changed. It's like space-time whispered back, like some deep cosmic reflex noticed us tapping on the wall. A feedback loop buried in the bones of reality itself, and it responded. We're no longer just looking out. We're part of the equation now. Maybe this is a whole new frontier, not just a new science, but a new role for humanity. We're not just observers, we're mirrors, resonators, participants in something we barely understand. And yeah, that should scare the life out of us, but it should excite us too, because when the universe finally speaks back, the real question isn't what's it saying, it's what took us so long to hear it? But here's the real kicker. What if this isn't the first time it's happened? What if signals like this have always been out there, but we just didn't know how to listen? Before James Webb, we were using tools built to catch firestorms, not whispers. We were tuned to explosions, not precision. And if this new signal needed both quantum AI and deep space tech to even detect, how many more have passed us by without a trace? Some researchers are now digging back into old archives, data from Hubble, Spitzer, Chandra, even Cold War military satellites, looking for anything that might have slipped through. And guess what? Strange, unresolved anomalies are starting to pop up. Patterns, echoes, signals we once called noise that maybe weren't noise at all. There's even talk inside closed science forums that similar pulses were recorded in 2003, 1996, even the late 70s. But without today's tech, no one could piece it together. It was like hearing scattered notes with no melody until Webb gave us the rhythm. And now, some think we've been hearing the same voice for decades, just broken up, like puzzle pieces scattered through time. And here's where things go next level. If the universe is talking, then what else has it heard? Did the Voyager record really trigger this? Or was it something else? An old radar ping, a Cold War broadcast, even music we beamed into space without thinking? And what if it's not just hearing us? What if it's recording us? Because now that it's blinked back, we have to face a wild possibility. This thing might have memory. It might be listening in ways we can't even measure yet. Not just sound, not just light, but intention itself. Whatever this is, it's been waiting. And it didn't just hear us once. It's been listening the whole time. Now that this signal's awake, people are starting to ask the one question no one dared before. What does it actually know about us? Because if it's been listening all along, it's been tracking everything, not just our tech, not just our science, but the chaos too, the wars, the broadcasts, the noise of our rise, and maybe even the warning signs of our fall. We didn't just announce ourselves with Voyager or SETI signals. We've been shouting into the void since the first radio crackled through the air. And what if this signal doesn't just echo us? What if it learns from us? Some scientists now think this thing might be adaptive, not in a basic AI way, but in a universal processing kind of way. Like it absorbs every frequency, every pulse, every intention we send, and responds by evolving its reply. Think about that. What if every time we change, it changes too? People inside the Webb project are already hinting at anomalies popping up in other data streams, shifts in pulsar timing, weird flares from quiet stars, patterns showing up in places they shouldn't. It's like reality itself is rippling, not breaking, just responding, subtle, but it's there. And now the deep fear is creeping in. What if this isn't just passive observation? What if it's a reactive field? One that mirrors not just our signals, but our intentions, our direction, even our behavior. Because if the universe has been watching, and it finally decided to blink back, then maybe, just maybe, it's not testing for contact. Maybe it's testing for character. We knocked, it answered, and now it's watching what we do next. Here's the chilling part. What if that blink from the cosmos wasn't just some cosmic hello? What if it was a checkpoint? Think about it. We've spent decades asking, are we alone? But what if the universe had already made up its mind, watching quietly, waiting to see if we'd even reach the tools to notice it? Not to welcome us, but to measure us. Now some theorists are calling it the observer effect, but not the one from physics class. This one's bigger. It's the idea that the moment we became capable of detecting the signal, the test began. A test not just of intelligence, but of intention, because the timing of this signal is too perfect. Right when we hit quantum AI, boom, it wakes up. It's almost like it was waiting for that one threshold, like a tripwire woven deep into space-time, only triggered when a species reaches a certain level of cosmic awareness. And now that we've crossed that line, the universe ain't silent anymore. And this changes everything, because now we gotta ask, was this signal a response or a verdict? Is it guiding us or watching us spiral? Some insiders even fear this could be a cosmic audit, that the feedback loop we just activated isn't friendly, it's evaluating us. And if we fail, then what? What happens when something that old, that vast, that precise, decides we're not worth responding to again? We used to think space was empty, quiet, cold, but now we know it's listening. And worse, it might be judging. And whatever's on the other side already knows exactly who we are. So now we're left with one mind-bending possibility. Next time we might not just hear the universe blink, we might hear it sing. Drop your theory in the comments. Do you think this is a message from some kind of intelligence? Or are we hearing the voice of reality itself? Don't keep this to yourself. Like, subscribe, and share this with someone who's ready to have their mind blown. The more eyes on this, the louder the conversation becomes. Because whatever this is, it's just getting started. See you on the next one.